Can you believe that 94% of you, nearly 94% of you, are not subscribed to this channel? Please make sure you subscribe right now. What is up, guys? This is David from Bronx Banter, and the Yankees have had preliminary talks with the Padres on acquiring Juan Soto. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party, and there's a lot of content creators that have already discussed this topic, but I feel like I have some great takes and some things that I feel like I'm very surprised they haven't mentioned. First and foremost, I'm very shocked at how many people have overlooked this. Have they talked about it? Absolutely, because it's news about Juan Soto. But I feel like a lot of content creators are undermining what really this can mean. Now, I know they're probably gearing their expectations for when the Yankees may not get Juan Soto because we've been heartbroken so many times. So I get it. And I understand that these preliminary talks don't mean that we're for sure getting Juan Soto or that the Yankees are making a deal for Juan Soto, but this means that the Yankees are taking steps forward and getting closer to possibly making a deal for Juan Soto. So the Padres have had preliminary conversations with the Yankees over a potential Juan Soto trade, according to Andy Martino of SNY. And it continues on to say that talks have not advanced beyond their initial check-in. Now, what does this mean? What does this initial check-in could possibly consist of? And then what does this mean for us Yankee fans as we anticipate for more news, or as we kind of just try to digest what does preliminary talks even mean? Now, this can mean one of three things, or two of three things, or all of three things. First of all, it can mean that we could, as fans, could get a little excited that there's at least interest in Juan Soto, which is improvement comparing to the Bryce Harper situation, because there has been hints that we've been interested in Juan Soto, but never has been a confirmation that the Yankees love Juan Soto. You've heard guys like Derek Jeter say we should get him. You've heard other players and other people in other organizations just speak highly of Juan Soto, but I feel like we have never heard Cashman directly say we're interested in Juan Soto. So hearing this is pretty good and a much better improvement versus Bryce Harper situation where they didn't even have a conversation about him or with him. Now, I know this isn't saying much, but it's something. Now, the second thing that this could mean is that we can see this as essentially nothing at all other than just preliminary talks. And it could just mean that it really leads to nothing at all, because that's where the conversation could possibly end, which is true. But it could also mean the third thing, which means that we could get a little excited again at the idea that the Padres are also open to discussing a trade with Juan Soto, because there also was no confirmation that Juan Soto is tradable. Us Yankee fans and even baseball fans in general just understood that the Padres wanted to shed payroll, and they thought one of the best ways that they could do that is through trading Juan Soto. So there was never direct confirmation from the Padres that Juan Soto is indeed tradable. So hearing these conversations happening, even if they are just preliminary, has some positive connotations to it. And now it could still just end in just a hope and a dream. But as of right now, the hope and dream is still alive. And something that I thought of as soon as I heard about the whole preliminary conversations and the idea that this could or could not happen, and the undermining of the idea that these talks have been happening, I started imagining that if the Yankees got on the phone with the Padres and for whatever reason, not saying it's a good reason, but for whatever reason, they believe Juan Soto has too much of a high price tag to trade off to get him for 1 year, I can see the Yankees possibly waiting to the trade deadline. And in the offseason, they'll make all their other moves. Hopefully Yamamoto, hopefully a player to the caliber of Brendan Donovan maybe, or someone else to fill in and round off the roster. And then they'll see where they land on the trade deadline. And if they're in contention and the season looks promising, then maybe then they could go for a move for Juan Soto to trade. at obviously a much lesser price tag. And this also seems likely on the Padres side because last year, no one expected the Padres to struggle as much as they did. So if the Padres run it back with a very similar team, I know they got some guys coming off the books, but if they run it back with a very similar team next year, they could easily go 100 plus wins as well. So I'm not sure if on the Padres side, they're going to be so quick to get rid of Juan Soto if they felt like last season was just a really bad fluke. And they did turn it on towards the end of the season as well. And then if the Padres find themselves not in contention again next year, then I could see them also trading Juan Soto off as well. So I could see this happening just as likely as him getting traded this season. Now, obviously, I'm not accounting for all the other teams that are interested in Juan Soto. There's been talks of the Astros being interested. There's been talks of the Red Sox being interested. I mean, I don't think who wouldn't be interested, quite honestly. So I could see either side being a realm of reality. Overall and in general, I'm just glad that the talks have started, no matter what the talks look like. And that the talks have started as early as they have. Now, we haven't even gotten through the World Series and we're already talking about preliminary conversations and the Yankees discussing with the Padres on a Juan Soto trade. A week later, we could easily hear news that the Yankees have provided an offer to the Padres or that the Padres have rejected an offer from the Yankees, whatever it means. The next step and the next news that we could get of a Juan Soto trade could be an actual offer. And I don't want to overhype this whole thing, but if we really look into what preliminary really means in regards to a preliminary talks, it essentially means any conversation prior to the anticipation of making an offer for Juan Soto. So this is what literally the conversation could look like. Hey, is Juan Soto on the market? Okay, great, he is. What are you looking for in return? And then the Yankees are going to go back to the drawing board and cook up an offer. Now, some guys that have been on the table in terms of a good deal for the Padres for what the Yankees could provide them are guys like Mike King, though I don't really want to give him up. I've heard Spencer Jones on the table. I've heard Everson Pereira, Oswald Cabrera. I've even heard Anthony Rizzo, which is something that even as a Yankee fan, again, I liked Anthony Rizzo when he was healthy and not struggling, which wasn't too often. He was a pretty consistent player outside of his injuries. But having DJ maybe slot in at first could really help round off the team. But either way, as we speak and as this video is out, the Yankees, it looks like, are probably trying to cook up a deal to make this happen. Now, again, I'm not saying the deal is or isn't happening, but something's absolutely brewing. So we cannot undermine this. And quite honestly, this same convo, we don't know how this conversation concluded, this preliminary talk concluded. This same conversation could have ended in the Yankees finding out that the Padres want guys that the Yankees aren't willing to give up on. And then that it's too much of an asking price. And there may not be any further steps after this. Who knows? But either way, I'm glad the combos have at least started and that the Yankees look like they're hitting the ground running on making something happen early. Again, I could come back to you guys in a week or in 2 weeks talking about a huge update on the Juan Soto trade sweepstakes. Or we can also hear that the Yankees are out on Juan Soto. Either way, the wheels are turning and they're turning early, and that's what I like to hear and see. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What does this mean to you? I don't want to be too much of a Debbie Downer of a Yankee fan. I also don't want to be overly optimistic, like a golden retriever kind of Yankee fan. But overall, let me know what you guys think. What does this mean to you? Does this mean something? Does this mean nothing? Does this mean everything? Do you still want Juan Soto as a trade this all season for the Yankees? Do we want to sign him? What does that trade package look like? Let me know everything and anything you want to talk about down in the comments below. Hey, what is up, guys? If you liked this episode, please make sure to like it, comment down below, and subscribe, and watch what YouTube suggests would be a great video for you. You're not going to want to miss all the latest Yankees news and topics going on. Listen, Judge wants you to subscribe. The Martian wants you to subscribe, so make sure you do. And until next time, peace and be blessed.